of this. And
Absolutely.
with that, I support it. The motion before us is due pass as amendment to the Appropriations Committee. Madam Secretary, if you'd call the roll.
Medina.
Aye.
Medina, aye. Baker. Baker, aye. Bloom. Bloom, aye. Chavez. Harper. Harper, no. Irwin. Irwin, aye. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Levine, aye. Linder. Lowe. Lowe, aye. Santiago. Weber. Weber, aye. Williams. Williams, aye. 8 more.
Mr. Gibson, your measure passes. I will leave it open for absent members to add on.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then we'll go on to your next bill,
Yes.
AB 1228.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. Thank you for giving me this opportunity once again to present Assembly Bill 1228, which seeks to create a party between foster youth and homeless youth in receiving priority for housing in higher education. Thank you. Members, current law requires CSUs and requests that the community college and UC's campus provides priority to current and foster youth on campus for housing. Current law also requests that the UC's and the CSU's campuses explores ways of using administration by exempling to help foster youth transition into college. Nearly 40% of the foster youth becomes homeless. And reported estimates that there are over 10,000 homeless college students in California. Yet we know the actual figures are much larger given the number of students who don't identify or are afraid to do so because of social stigma. With that in mind, AB 1228 seeks to expand current law to include homeless youth with an understanding the often overlooked intersection between the two, homeless youth and foster youth population. In addition, this bill requests that these universities develop a plan for encouraging the homeless and foster youth having access to housing during the academic year and between breaks. So we're talking about when the recess and summer break to having access. With me here today to provide supporting testimony is the director who will introduce himself, the director of Housing California, and also we also have a student here who will also introduce himself as well. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, and thank you to the author for carrying this bill this year. Thank you also to the consultants who provide very good feedback for us in the course of this bill this year. My name is John Bowders. I'm the Policy Director at Housing California. We are the voice for our children, seniors, families, and those who experience homelessness here in the Capitol. Very briefly, educational attainment is a key social determinant for ensuring that unaccompanied homeless youth are self-sufficient and housed as adults. The challenges that homeless youth must often overcome on the path to higher education are steep. Many report that they are in a constant state of housing instability and that distracts them from schoolwork, reducing their focus on learning. Many more must work in order to retain and maintain basic financial needs, limiting opportunities for extracurricular involvement and personal growth. Many suffer from a lack of parental or adult guidance and mentorship. These challenges do not disappear with admittance to a state college or university. A lack of housing and financial support jeopardizes their education, which is an opportunity to their best chance to end homelessness. Basically, this bill, in short, would increase the opportunity for students to fulfill their higher educational opportunities. It removes what is one of the greatest stressors on a young person's life who's unaccompanied and homeless, which is the ability to know where they're going to sleep at night. And we are going to hear from Independence Taylor, who is a homeless youth here in the Sacramento area, to talk briefly about his experience.
My name is Independence Taylor. I'm here to speak in support of AB 1228 today, as it would make success in college more of a reality for homeless youth such as myself. Last summer, I enrolled in a course at Sacramento City College as part of their advanced education program for high school students. I was living in a tent, which made studying very difficult. I had no study area. It was too hot in the afternoon to have the energy to study, and I would be too tired at night from having to wake up at 6 a.m. to go to class all the way out in West Sac from Rancho Cordova. It's an hour-and-a-half commute in the morning. I withdrew from the course after taking my midterm because my personal circumstances and homelessness made completing my higher education studies difficult. Stable housing during the school year, including during breaks, will help myself and other students to attain success we wouldn't have been able to before. Thank you.
Wow.
Any other witnesses in support?
Thank you. Kim Lewis, representing the California Coalition for Youth. Pleased to be one of the co-sponsors on this bill. Thank you.
Dr. Rashida Crutchfield, faculty at Cal State Long Beach, in support of this bill.
Excuse me. Frank Mecca, Executive Director of the County Welfare Directors Association, in support.
Thank you. Any witnesses in opposition? To the committee? Questions? Comments? Mr. Williams.
Just want to appreciate the author's work on this issue. I myself, when I went to community college, was homeless for about half of my first 2 years, and so I appreciate the work that you're doing and the struggles that your witness and others have dealt with. Thank you.
Mr. Gibson, I also want to thank you for bringing this bill forward. As a high school teacher, my last year spent at an alternative high school where I taught homeless. Among my students were a homeless student, and also had an intern who was homeless as a high school student and is graduating this year from the University of California at Berkeley in astrophysics.
Wow.
And he was homeless in Moreno Valley as a high school student. Not being homeless ever in my life, but having come from 3,000 miles away to attend college where I left my family in Panama, and realize, the difficulty of what you're addressing in your bill is, breaks and breaks in college and recess. I myself was wondering, well, where do I go once all the students are gone and the dormitory is closed? Where do I go? And I wasn't homeless, and so I very much appreciate you addressing that, and hope that UC and CSU can address those needs. So thank you for bringing this bill forward. Mr. Bloom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you too, Mr. Gibson, for bringing this bill forward. It's almost as meaningful and as important as the other homeless services bill that's on our agenda. That's AB 801 that some other author has. But in all seriousness, it is, it may seem like a small thing. The items that are in my bill might seem like a series of small things, but those things collectively are what help us build the pathway to success for these individuals. And so I'm happy to support your bill, and thank you again.
We have a motion by Ms. Weber, second by Mr. Bloom. The motion is due pass to Appropriations Committee. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Chair, before that happened, let me just say that, as policymakers, as we put bills forward, sometimes we're not connected, and sometimes we're connected once we actually articulate it before a committee. But sitting here today and just hearing, it's one thing to see it on paper, but to hear this young man, Mr. Taylor, come here and talk about his trials and his tribulation, it hit homes. And certainly I'm here trying to fight back the tears, because this is real. Our babies, our best and brightest, who struggle to get to college, and when they get there, they have nowhere to live. They're living in their cars and wherever else. I just want to say thank you very much for coming. I know it's a difficult road for you to get here. I really appreciate you, and thank you for your partnership on this bill. I think you're going to open up a lot of doors for so many people. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You.
Medina.
Aye.
Medina, aye. Baker. Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom. Aye. Bloom, aye. Chavez. Harper. No. Harper, no. Irwin. Aye. Irwin, aye. Jones Sawyer. Levine. Lender. Lowe. Aye. Lowe, I. Santiago. Weber. Weber, I. Williams. Williams, I. 7-1.
7-1, your measure passes. I'll leave it open for absent members to add on.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We'll go to item 2. Mr. Lowe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. Thank you very much for allowing me to present AB 626. This bill aims to stabilize full-time faculty staffing within the California community colleges. As many of you may know, I also served as a faculty member at De Anza Community College, and so this issue is quite important and relevant to me as well. As you know, during this tough budgetary times, many challenges existed, and now that we've enjoyed more prosperity, we've been able to stabilize more of our budgetary constraints, and whether or not it's focused on the mentorship within the faculty and or the enrollment of student success, I know that we're engaged in this process. And so this bill fundamentally tries to address this issue of faculty ratio. The State and Community College Board of Governors established and adopted a goal 25 years ago of 75% of credit instruction to be administered by full-time faculty. However, today, only 56% of credit instruction is taught by teachers working full-time, nowhere near the 75% goal. AB 626 tries to address this issue about sustainability within making sure that we have the full-time to part-time faculty ratio. The bill also calls for the Board of Governors to work with the College of Academic Senate to develop goals for full and part-time faculty ratio in non-credit institutions. Let me also just mention that our office is committed to working with members, particularly who might have concerns about the funding mechanisms in the areas related to the SSSP. And we will continue to be engaged in additional dialogue and in making sure that we can adequately address these issues. Additionally, if members have particular issues with the legislation as is, we will continue to identify some solutions to address this issue at hand, which is, again, how do we try to tackle and accomplish and get to that 75-25% ratio at hand. So we very much thank this opportunity to present this bill here today. And today, to answer technical questions, I have Jonathan Lightman with me here, and my colleague at De Anza Community College, Rich Hansen, and Kathy Holland as well, faculty members.
Chairman Medina and members of the committee, my name is Richard Hansen. I'm here today on behalf of the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges. I'm a full-time faculty member at De Anza College, where I teach mathematics, and I hold the office of Fac Secretary. The Seymour Campbell Student Success Act of 2013 addressed years of declining funding for student services in the community colleges and focused on policies and funding that encouraged students to set goals and colleges to increase completion rates. The Student Success Act declared that full-time faculty and part-time faculty support were essential educational priorities that contribute to student success. But the measure did little to support what might be called the faculty component of student success. On our campus, De Anza, having a sufficient number of full-time faculty and part-time faculty who are equitably compensated for their work results in a core of faculty who are invested in their campus and intimately understand the needs of their students and the community. For example, our mathematics department has developed an intensive learning program that accelerates the movement of basic skills students forward into credit courses. This requires that full and part-time faculty work together, translating their understanding of the students they serve, the challenges they must overcome, and the skilled professional experience to translate that into successful teaching strategies in the classroom. Given that the legislature during both Republican and Democratic administrations have long supported the 75-25 goal, logic follows that if there are no other state-directed monies for the purposes of improving the 75-25 ratio, full-time hiring or part-time support, that SSSP funds appropriately should be used for these objectives. This proposal follows current Ed Code that outlines a differentiated amount of spending for districts based on their local 75-25 ratio. This was a part of program-based funding that has been replaced by funding based on FTES, full-time equivalent students. AB 626 is a technical bill that addresses a fundamental policy objective: to fill classrooms with stable, professional cadre faculty to help students achieve success no matter what their point of origin is when they step into the classroom. For these reasons, FAC urges your aye vote on this measure. And we understand, yes, that we're looking forward to working with the legislature on this. We just feel that this is an important issue that needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Kathy Holland, and I'm the part-time executive officer for the Faculty Association of California Community Colleges. I've been teaching political science as a part-time faculty member consecutively for the last 20 years at Pierce College and Glendale College. Let me share with you what it means to be a part-time faculty member. It means that for many of us, when we recognize the student needs extra help, we are at a loss to provide them with our time outside of the classroom, which is the only time we can offer them personal attention. Many of us are not compensated for the office hours, and in the event we offer our time, it is on